What's up guys, Green Tea here. I'm gonna try and do one of these big videos like every 2 weeks or so, get ready for that. The next one's probably gonna be even longer. It'll be on a show that I actually like this time, so yeah, just letting you guys know what's up. Later. "2016 was an interesting year. A lot of celebrities I didn't know died, the United Kingdom pulled out of Germany's future Fourth Reich, and Hillary Clinton drew the ire of an ancient deity of primordial darkness and lost the election to Donald Trump because of it. On top of slowly filling up my insanity meter with red pills, I also holed up in my room and binge-watched most of the anime released in 2016 to make sure my mind is as fucked beyond repair as possible and I won't be able to socialize with anyone who doesn't watch anime ever again. Some of it was good, even great, but there's one show in particular that I just can't get past, that I just had to make a video about so I could finally stop thinking about it and move on to better shows. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for making this, but I really don't give a fuck. Before I say what the show is, I just want to say that if you like this show, I fucking hate you, and I think that your opinion is shitty and you're what's wrong with the anime community, but you should still watch the whole video before disliking it and leaving like a little bitch. Honestly, if you're dense enough to enjoy a show like this, then it won't really matter if I'm the most respectful and well-reasoned person on the planet. You're already fucked. This is the only show I laughed onto my drop list before picking it up for the sake of review because of how many people loved it. I really don't understand how things got this fucked up. Every time I think I've lost all faith in humanity, I immediately find something that proves that I still have more faith to lose. It's at least every other day that I'll open up the Mal app on my phone and check Erased score just to confirm that it's actually real, and every time I see it, I can't fucking believe it. So I figure that making a video might be the best way for me to push this shitty excuse for an anime out of my mind. That's right, we're talking about Erased. Now sit down, shut the fuck up, and let Papa Green Tea spit some shit at ya. Alright, first I just want to say that I don't care that Erased had the same director as SAO. Tomohiko Ito also directed a few episodes of Death Note and Monster, which are two of my favorite shows of all time, so I have absolutely no bias against this guy. I don't think anyone can say that it's entirely his fault these shows turned out so awful. I'm sure there's a lot of corporate bullshit that goes on at A1 Pictures to keep him from doing exactly what he wants to do. I mean, they're the McDonald's of anime, they just push shitty shows out all the time and they don't care. So I can see why he was probably under a huge time crunch to get this show done. I hear the show follows the manga really closely too, so if the source material you're working with is shit, there really isn't anything you can do to salvage it. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's start things off with a summary. Satoru is a 29-year-old pizza delivery man and is a pretty normal guy. He has an unexplained, uncontrollable ability called Rewind, where he can go back in time to stop tragedies from happening. The concepts we're introduced to first in the show have been done to death, but what's new and different is when Satoru's mom gets killed and he is more or less accused of being the killer. It's at this point that time rewinds, taking him back to the time when he was in elementary school. He figures out fairly quickly that this must be where he needs to start in order to save his mom, but doesn't have a clue where to start. Luckily, the world goes black and white for a moment to highlight the character he needs to save in order to save his mom, somehow. Well, all the kids in this school are fucking geniuses. They make the adults around them look completely incompetent most of the time. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that Satoru figured out that he could use his eagle vision to find out where he had to go next in the story. So yeah, there's this girl named Kayo. She's quiet and gets abused by her mom and is really wise for her age. And that's about it. Don't worry about me glossing over this though, because the show does just that when it gets further into its second half. The abuse subplot is more or less forgotten when Satoru finds out who the killer is. Hell, even the Child Protective Services workers in the show don't give a fuck about Kayo being abused. They're as incompetent as every other adult in this show. That's what this show does the most that pisses me off. It introduces all of these different concepts, most of them cliches that you've seen a million times before, doesn't comment on them, and drop them for the next idea. What's the point of watching something that takes itself seriously if it never actually comments on the subject matter it addresses? If you put a red filter over your show when a child is being abused to make it stand out even more, but never comment on it in any meaningful way, then it doesn't matter. The show is full of things, but it's just that. Full of things that happen but with no real meaning behind them. No philosophical principles attached to them. It's a fucking anti-show. What's the point of watching a show that doesn't teach you anything? To anyone that liked this, what did Erase teach you or help you understand that you didn't already know or understand before? Murder is bad, and kidnapping is bad, and friendship is good. Is that really all it takes for a show to be considered great? To just scratch the surface of the most basic morals ever conceived? And why? When Kaio comes home and her mom flips the fuck out, do Satoru and his mom stand in the shadow really fucking far behind her before stepping into the light when Kaio's mom notices them? The only reason I can think of is to make the scene more dramatic, even if it doesn't make any sense. Why would they stand so far away, and like why would they send Kaio up to ring the doorbell first? Her mom comes to the door, and they stand really far away, and then they slowly walk over, up behind Kaio when her mom notices. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Why does this show always feel the need to force drama into every scene when it clearly either doesn't need to be dramatic, or the drama in the scene could be handled in a much better way? This is where director Tomohiko Ito fails. He fails to make scenes interesting and makes them all seem generic and boring, just like every scene from Sword Art Online. I've heard from a lot of people that Erased is better than Sword Art Online because Tomohiko Ito actually cares about this, that it's one of his passion projects, but the directing style doesn't really convey that message. It doesn't seem like a big deal to him. It just seems like a fucking reskinned SAO. Jason, who I talked with on the podcast, even knew. He was 6 minutes into the first episode and he sent me a text. He said, "I get it now. It's a reskinned SAO. Main character looks like Kirito. Main girl is voiced by Asuna. It has the same soundtrack composer, the same director. It's made by the same studio. An arc begins with one character in a hospital room. A random plot point down the road completely ruins the show, and the whole thing is good for beginners." And then I fucking screamed like a maniac because I'm so tortured by this show. I just can't deal with it. It's fine. Maybe I just don't get it. Maybe there are some people who have done reviews or comments on the show that can help me understand why people like it so much. So let's read some of those. Alright, so I'm on Mal, and besides this rating that gave it a 4 out of 10, this one's the second most helpful, and this person gave it an 8 out of 10, and that's a fucking great show, so let's see what they had to say. Alright. Erase narrates the story of blah, fuck that. So he says about the story that after the first 6 episodes, the second half it kind of goes downhill, and yeah, he admits that the studio was clearly rushing, and that the ending makes no fucking sense, but apparently that's an 8 out of 10 story. That's a great story when the second half is fucked. And art, we're not going to talk about the art because the art's okay. Sound, yeah, I really don't, so the music in this show really sucks. I mean, I really don't understand why anyone can think the soundtrack in this show is decent. I mean, on its own, it's okay, but in the context of the show, does it really add any, does it really stand out from the rest of the show? You know, like a show like Death Parade. Every soundtrack from Death Parade is burned into my brain forever because of how the soundtrack in Death Parade doesn't just add to the show, but it's a part of the show. And Erase doesn't do any of that with its soundtrack. They just hired the same composer they had for SAO just because it would be easy and just had her compose a generic soundtrack for the show. And then going further down to the character section, the reviewer says that Satoru as an adult is boring, but as a child he's a lot cooler, he's more interesting, but that doesn't make any sense because I thought the whole premise of the show was, you know, Satoru, his adult brain is now in a kid's body, so how does just being a kid change him as a character? I mean, he's such a flat character, I didn't really notice. I wouldn't have even noticed this, so... like, what's the point of even pointing it out? While Erased is a very enjoyable anime, it's still far from perfect. There are many things left untold. For example, the origin behind Satoru's ability revival, and it makes even lesser sense in the whole Erased world that Satoru is the only one having this ability. In fact, the ability is the only thing which makes this part of the supernatural genre. My thoughts exactly. Many realistic and thought-provoking philosophical themes are offered by this anime. For example, mother's love for his child, child's love for his mother, frustrated parents' abuse on their child, what the fuck? Loneliness in youth age, Jesus Christ. Bullies in school, very philosophical. Humans' tendencies to run away from problems, humans' tendencies to help others in need, parents' situation, that's not a word, with their child is in a permanent bed rest 4 years. Holy fuck. Okay, so this review was pretty well written until he got to the overall, and then the cognitive dissonance just destroyed his mind entirely. But yeah, most of these are not philosophical statements, and the ones that are have been done better in shows like Evangelion or Welcome to the NHK. I mean, Jesus fuck. But maybe let's see what like the masses have to say. What did the everyday folk think about this show?
I'll tell you a secret. Sometimes I get a little quiet.
Alright, so after episode 5, the worst episode in the entire show, which we'll talk about later, Frixmoth says, and here's where the real anime begin. I mean the solving of crimes, finding the culprit, and save his mother, Kaio and Airi. But this ep is what the fuck? I shocked when I read the March 3 in subtitle, lol. Rakeem Beckett Scott says, another anime masterpiece. And then, yep, that was the reply. This anime just got better because me and the MC share the same birthday. Woo! Hell yeah. I'd rate this anime as being up with Steins Gate as one of the best animes I've watched. Well, then this person hasn't seen a lot of anime, obviously. It doesn't have any plot holes that I've noticed, despite the complicated theme of time travel, and after a second watch, I can see that there are hints to the real identity of the killer all throughout the anime. Oh my god. Characters are great, the story is amazing. It is definitely one of the animes that when everything finally falls into place, there is a no way moment that many animes fail to give. Yeah, obviously the show isn't gonna have many plot holes since it doesn't explore many concepts that well. And there are still a shit ton of plot holes anyways, which we'll talk about. I mean, I won't talk about all of them because obviously if you're watching this video, you've seen the other videos on Erased. You should know how shit this is already. Yeah, man, this shit chills me to my fucking core. Is everyone who likes this show retarded? No, they aren't. There are a few written reviews I've seen, they're all well written, but like we've seen, they're not very convincing. But there's people on YouTube, like Mother's Basement, who really, really enjoyed this show. Like, gave it a 9 out of 10, just fucking ate it up. But he hands out fucking perfect scores like candy. Jeff, I don't fucking believe you. How the fuck is this show's directing above average? I've watched your video on the fucking tree scene 100 times, and I still can't see it. It's just basic fucking symbolism, man. Just watch. You haven't watched Evangelion. Go watch Evangelion. Then come back and tell me what good directing is. God damn it, Jeff. Fucking fight me, you bitch. And what the fuck is up with the final confrontation between Satoru and Yashiro? Is this really all we get? Shells containing a mishmash of controversial character traits goes on to win Villain of the Year, while more complex and interesting villains like Sato from Ajin and Yoshikage Kira from You Already Know the Anime go ignored? Unlike with Yashiro, you actually have scenes in these shows where the villain is at least humanized a little bit. Like Sato in Ajin, he slowly becomes the bad guy over time, but you always know he's gonna end up being the bad guy, and you're just waiting for the moment when he's gonna snap. And Yoshikage Kira, we see him, he's got his little picnic in the park scene, right? When he's eating lunch with the hand from one of the victims he killed. It's not a lot, I don't expect a lot of these scenes, but it's something, it's something to give your antagonist more depth than just like make your antagonist an elementary school teacher and that's it. I like how when Satoru tries to kill himself by rolling his wheelchair off a building, when Yashiro catches him, we get that cheesy ass line, like, "You can't kill me, sensei" line, and like, oh, excuse me. Ugh. Fuck. Yeah, we get the "you can't kill me, sensei" line, and he's got like his fucking hair covering his eyes, like Light Yagami level. I mean, god damn it. And they do the whole gay thing too, he's like, "Nothing has made me happier than your return." I mean, goddamn, the ship has sailed, man. I mean, you're telling me he waited 15 fucking years while Satoru was in a coma and just thought about him constantly. I mean, how unbelievable was that shit? And yeah, so when he does fall, and they look down, how... Oh my god. And when he does fall, and what the fuck's his face? Yashiro, Jesus. When Yashiro looks down and sees that, Satoru's safe, he fell and hit the net or whatever. Like, how did they know to set the net up for when he falls? Even if they knew that's how things were going to play out, how did they know to set it up in that exact spot? I don't even know what the fuck is going on anymore. Why didn't Yashiro just slit Satoru's throat and then fucking leave? He would have never been caught if he just would have, took him up to the roof, slit his fucking throat, and then left. I mean, I guess if you like Deus Ex Machina, I guess this show is perfect for you. It's fucking perfect. 9 out of 10 for you, people who like shit that doesn't make any sense. In the end, the antagonist lacked the depth to complement his motivations. The story resolved without any of the characters really developing. It's just as shallow and predictable as any other shit anime like SAO, only this is a million times worse, because at least something like SAO has cute girls and pretty decent action scenes, which is better than nothing. It's better than the nothing anti-show that this is. It makes me sick to my fucking stomach to even have to say this, but everything I've talked about so far isn't the worst part about this show. There is one arc of the show that is still, to this day, the worst, most poorly written thing I've ever seen in my life, and no one talks about it. No one mentions it in the Mao reviews, no one on YouTube talks about it, even the critics, no critics on YouTube talk about it. What the actual fuck is going on? Like, this is like some Mandela effect shit here, man. So there's this scene at the end of episode 5 when What's-Her-Face tells Satoru, like, just drops her whole fucking backstory about how her dad was at a store and a chocolate bar fell out of his pocket, and then the manager freaked the fuck out and like told him to admit that he stole it, and the dad didn't want to admit that he stole it. He might have, he might not have, we don't know, but because of this chocolate bar, like, his whole fucking life falls apart. Like, he gets a fucking divorce. Man, like, he can't go shopping at grocery stores anymore. Yeah, gets divorced, like, just loses touch with his daughter, basically. It's the most retarded shit ever. Like, in what first world country do you get accused of stealing a chocolate bar and then have your whole fucking life fall apart? Like, you would have thought that the father was accused of raping somebody. I mean, my god. I can forgive the Naruto opening, the boring soundtrack, the rewind power never being explained. Hell, I can even forgive the antagonist of the show being complete shit. But I can never forget or forgive the absolute shit show that was the chocolate bar scene. No! Fuck you! How could anyone forget something this awful? Did you bleach your mind, dumbass? If anyone likes this show, explain this scene. My god, I fucking went to a friend's house from college, and he had all his roommates there, and we were just watching some One Punch Man, and then I just bring up Erased, because it was coming out at the time, and like, I was just talking about how fucking stupid it was, and then this guy's like, yeah, I loved Erased, and I just started I couldn't even fucking contain myself. I started screaming at this guy like, what about the chocolate bar scene? What the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, but he didn't say anything because he's probably one of those people who doesn't know how to fucking read or write like most of the people who like this show do. Everything about this show, every element of this show's plot is so aggressively horrid that it makes the production values look like a sick fucking joke. That's why I skipped over the art portion in that review earlier, because I needed to bring it up here. Like, how can a show like this have such, like, I'm not gonna say they're great, but they're good production values, definitely better than average. Yeah, for fuck's sakes, anime community, explain yourselves. Fucking tell me why I should like this show. Because as you've already seen, fans of the show are already off to a pretty fucking rocky start. I know you're out there. I've even heard that this show broke Mal's top 10 list before it was even over. But I don't want to research. I do not want to research to find out for sure, because then I might actually end up killing myself. I cannot fucking take this. And man, there's one thing I didn't say about the ending. But at the very end of the show, what better place for the final scene to take place than where the chocolate bar scene happened? Like, where the big fucking reveal was about how her dad, this girl's dad's life was fucking ruined because he got accused of stealing a chocolate bar, a 99-cent fucking generic ass chocolate bar. I mean, and the main character, he smiles, man. He smiles. He can never forget the chocolate bar scene. He can't forget it, man. Jesus fucking Christ, just never stop believing, man. Oh my god. I was gonna give this show, I was gonna be generous. I was gonna give this show a 2 out of 10. But after making all this, after writing this shitty ass script, and after analyzing and digging through all the fucking pile of feces A1 calls a show, I cannot think of a show more worthy of a 1 out of 10. This show is Boku no Pico levels of terrible, the likes of which I never thought I would have to fucking see again. My god. Like, I just can't fucking believe it. I don't know how anybody forgets about the chocolate bar scene. I mean, it makes no sense, and people will say, like, I've read online, you know, people are like, it's just a... Yeah, there was one, I'm not gonna say nobody talks about this, but there was like one fucking reviewer I saw. When I looked up on Google Images, type in chocolate bar scene, click the first image, and yeah, it's like from a review, and the guy's like, it's just a drop in the bucket, you know? It's just a drop in the bucket of what's ultimately a good show. Which is not a good show. I mean, people say the show shits itself in the second half, but I mean, 5 episodes in, and it's already fucked. Like, when I saw this scene, that's when I just stopped. I paused after it happened, and I had to rewatch it. But after that, I had just laughed so fucking hard. I was laughing as I opened up my phone, went on my Mal app, and just dropped this fucking show at episode 5. Like, it was the worst. It wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me. I just thought it was fucking hilarious. Like, I could not even believe it. The first few episodes for me were miserable, but this scene, it broke me. I mean, it changed who I am today. Like, I laugh easily, right? I laugh easily, you know, because I just have to forget, because the chocolate bar scene is running through my head fucking 24/7. So every time someone, you know, says something even remotely funny, I just have to laugh. I have to let it out, because if I bottle up all my feelings, the chocolate bar scene, man, it's just gonna fucking take me over and destroy my body.
And now I'm about to blow my fucking brains out!
Yeah, I'm legitimately pissed off right now. Like, how can like I said in my last video, all these fucking A1 fanboys go and give these shows like 9 out of 10 when they're clearly shit. SAO at one point had like an 8.3 out of 10 before everybody started making their videos and shit, and A1 fanboys are so gullible, they probably went and changed their score to some lower shit as well. I mean, except for Jason. Jason stays true. He's like, no, SAO was one of my first anime. I loved it. It's a 9 out of 10. You know, that's what got him into anime, into better shows. You know, it was a gateway into better shows. Like, Jason can appreciate what good shows are because he's seen SAO. And while he knows that SAO has a fuck ton of problems, like, he still appreciates it. You know, for what it did to him, for like how it's given him a way to appreciate better shows. And maybe that's how Erased works. I don't know. But for a seasoned anime veteran, it's just fucking unacceptable that this show is this high, you know? That it's this high in the rankings. It's ridiculous. I mean, if this show was top 50, this video would be an hour long. This video would be a fucking hour long. If this was in the top 50, if this was in the top 10, I probably would have killed myself already. I wouldn't even be making videos because I'd be so discouraged from ever doing anything ever again.
どうしたんでしょう、敵は。おそらく急な撤退命令でも出たのでしょう。
Dislike this video, fuck you, I don't care. I mean, this just needs to be said. Like, dislike it, but don't dislike it if you're not gonna, you know, put in the comments why this is, you know, the greatest fucking masterpiece since Legend of the Galactic Heroes, you know? Like, at least, if you're gonna shit all over this video with dislikes, you should at least explain why Erased is a great show. Just explain that to me. If you can do it better than every review, like, the review we covered, and then all the comments, if you can explain why Erased is good better than they can, like, I'll delete my fucking channel. I mean, God, man. This kind of shit is why green tea. This is why I am after dark. This is why I can't fucking sleep at night. This is why I'm forced to walk the dark streets of this hell we call Earth forever. Every time I step outside during the day and feel the warm sun on my face, that feeling is always tainted by the fact that I know Erased exists, and there's nothing any of us can do to stop it. And why would anyone want to stop it? Apparently this show's fucking great. It's a fucking masterpiece. It's a 12-episode epic that follows a 29-year-old borderline NEET who goes back in time to solve an uninteresting mystery with a shitty resolution that everybody knows is shit. Everybody says, the last 6 episodes are fucking terrible, 8 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and in the end, the main character, what does he learn? Fucking nothing. I mean, yeah, what more could you want? This show is number 58 on my anime list, and you all should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. If you aren't getting on my anime list and giving this show a 2 or a 1 or a 3 or whatever you think it deserves, that's below a 5. You're a fucking disgrace to this community. My God, I can't fucking believe it. I can't fucking believe this shit.
Anime is a Japanese colloquialism. Japanese colloquialism. Japanese colloquialism. Japanese colloquialism.
On YouTube, the artist is not abstracted at all.
The thing I like most about this game is...
Hey, welcome to Driving Tuesdays, the only show where they drive on Tuesdays.
2017. I'm not happy.